What's going on YouTube? So within luxury vehicles, probably the most hotly contested segment is in compact crossovers, since that has become the go-to body style for many Americans. Now within that segment, there are two German products that have been battling it out for sales supremacy for years, the Audi Q5 and the Mercedes GLC. Both these two were recently updated with new designs, tech, and features. So with that being said, let's see which product reigns supreme. So to get things established here, let's quickly talk about the pricing and option levels of these two. Now, as typical for German vehicles, there is quite a price range that these two can fit into. But for today, we chose models that best reflect what the average customer spends. So starting with the Audi, we have the Premium Plus package, and then a few additional upscale options added to that. After destination, we're at $52,445. Moving to the Mercedes, it starts out a couple $1,000s more expensive, but it also needs slightly less equipment added to it for equivalency. That means that after destination, the total price is $53,660. That places both these two right in the sweet spot for the segment, and we will still account for that small price difference towards the end of the video in the value section. But let's get things going here with the exteriors. Now for 2021, the Q5 just received a number of design updates to put it in line with the newest Audi products. And just a year before, the same thing happened to the GLC. Both have upscale and somewhat aggressive designs, with large grilles and high-end full LED lighting. Continuing to the side, you'll find optional 20-inch alloy wheels on both. And then around back, both have sleek and rounded designs. The taillights are LED as expected. However, it is worth noting that only the Q5 has dynamic turn signals. Additionally, I will point out that both deploy fake exhaust tips, and the Q5 can tow about 20% more weight when properly equipped. Now checking out some of the individual features, both of their mirrors have heating, power folding, auto dimming, and blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert. But as far as the other safety systems, there are differences between them. Both include forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection. However, for 2021, Audi has taken the contents of the driver's assistance package and made them standard. That means that it also has adaptive cruise with traffic jam assist, lane keeping assist, rear auto braking, and auto high beam headlights as equipped, while the Mercedes would need an additional $2,500 of options to get those. And the last thing on the outside is that they share 4-year 50,000-mile bumper-to-bumper and powertrain warranties. But anyway, that concludes the exterior. So now let's get to the more important cabins before we take them out for a drive. So first, walking up to them, both have smart entry systems with very similar looking key fobs. But once you open up the doors, these similarities disappear quickly. They have very different design languages, with the only common elements being that they are both black and have open pore wood trim. Now starting with the seats themselves, the GLC has significantly more power adjustability, at 14 ways versus 8. Since it even has things like power thigh extension and power headrest. Both have memory functions and heating, but the Audi will come with real leather instead of leatherette. Once inside the cabins, we can check out the important issue of material quality. Starting out with the new Q5, it uses soft touch plastic, open pore wood, piano black, and leatherette trim throughout. While the GLC also uses similar materials, it simply feels like the more special place to spend time, since Mercedes paid great attention to detail. It has much more extensive use of wood trim, metal window switches, metal speaker grills, and soft touch plastic even on the areas rarely touched. Taking a look at the gauges, both have giant 12.3-inch reconfigurable ones with amazing resolution. However, no one does it quite as well as Audi, which still has the edge thanks to more design choices and the full-screen Google Earth maps. Coming back to the steering wheels, both are leather wrapped and have optional heating, but the Mercedes is power adjusting. Now moving on to interior storage, really neither of them have a great deal of it. The GLC's center console is larger, but the Q5 has more cubbies in the front, so it's pretty much equal. That being said, only the Q5 has a wireless phone charger as equipped. Both models have electronic shifters, just in different locations, and when in reverse, both will also have 360-degree camera systems. And now that brings us to the console-mounted volume knobs. Both have the optional upgraded systems, so let's go ahead and give them a sample. Now, I'm not an audio expert, however to my ears they seemed roughly equivalent to each other, despite the speaker advantage in the Q5. Alright, so now that takes us to the infotainment systems. Both vehicles are using tablet-style 10-inch displays that are running their brand's latest software, but with some differences. For one, the new MMI system eliminates the dash control knob, meaning that touch is the only control method. MBUX allows for touch, the trackpad, or a sensor on the steering wheel. As equipped, our Audi has navigation, which is not present on the Mercedes. Both also have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay abilities. However, the Q5 has the ability to run CarPlay wirelessly. Finally, to wrap up the front of the interiors, both have panoramic sunroofs. Now heading around to the rear, this is perhaps as important as the front, since these are used primarily as family vehicles. Dimensionally speaking, they are nearly identical to each other. And as far as the features back here, both have rear air vents as well as several connections, but only the Q5 has its own dedicated rear climate zone. And neither of them come with heated rear seats at this price point. Moving out back, both have hands-free power tailgates. And once they open up, there are similar amounts of space. For whatever reason, the Q5 has a pretty significant advantage with the rear seats upright. But once they are folded down, the tables turn in favor of the Mercedes. Both have spare tires and 40-20-40 split folding seats. But as you can see, it's still a very tight race. So now let's take them out for a spin and see who's going to come out on top. So heading out on the road with these two Germans, you can tell that they attempted to match each other closely, but there are still differences in how they arrived there. The first thing up are the engines. Both are using 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engines, except that the Audi has a small 12-volt mild hybrid system added as well. The end result is almost identical horsepower figures and actual identical torque figures. However, with a gain of 0.2 seconds for 2021, the Audi does arrive at 60 miles per hour faster.
Nice.
Yeah, very stout acceleration. So, what we've got on board is a modified powertrain for 2021. So we start with the same base engine, which is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, but this year Audi is adding the 12-volt mild hybrid system, and that's going to boost power up to 261 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque. Yeah, this is certainly more than enough power for most people, and really quiet and refined powertrain delivery. You really just can't hear a thing, especially once you start cruising along.
Oh yeah.
As far as the rest of the powertrains, the Q5 has a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission, compared to the conventional 9-speed automatic in the GLC. While both are good transmissions, the smoother 9-speed in the Mercedes feels like a better match for this segment. We have a 9-speed automatic transmission on board. Super smooth, super imperceptible. That's why I really haven't even mentioned it until this point of the review. It just blends in. You know, it's one of those transmissions that there's really nothing to complain about. You know, it just goes about its business. It gives you power when you need it, and you know, goes to an upper gear and gives you a pretty decent fuel economy. You know, when you're just cruising along. Now, as far as other driving dynamics, both have fantastic ride quality and well-controlled dynamics.
That said, you know, we do also want to talk about the ride quality, as really the main focus of this vehicle is not going to be performance, it's just going to be to cruise along. And this Audi Q5 does a really good job. It has a typical German solidity to it, which I'm a huge fan of. When you hit a bump, you're not going to hear any rattles or anything like that, and it really just soaks it up super well. And I will get a sound level reading here. We're going around 45 miles per hour.
Sound insulation is very important for luxury vehicles, and they both are indeed very quiet. Now, we accidentally took the official measurements at different speeds, but we'll go ahead and show you the samples anyways.
And it looks like we're sitting at under 50 decibels. So, granted, we are going a little bit slower than we do in some of our other tests due to the road that we're on. Sitting at 56.4 decibels. That's a very good reading. That is, I honestly believe that's like right on par with that of the Audi Q5. It may be like the exact same reading, but certainly very quiet in here.
Even though they are German, both focus on comfort over dynamics. But I did find the GLC steering to be more accurate and pleasing. And lastly, for fuel economy, the Q5 edges out the Mercedes by a couple mpg. Well, actually, that is not the last thing, since we still have to address the fact that the GLC cost $1,215 more than the Q5. Because the average price is above $35,000, the Audi will receive a half point. And that's it, everybody. This hard-fought and close comparison ends with the Q5 on top, but really it's easy to recommend either of them. Like we always say, buying a car is an emotional experience as much as a rational one, so much of the decision will come down to personal preference. Make sure you go and test drive both of them if you're in the market for any new compact luxury crossover. Anyway guys, thanks for joining us for this Car Confections comparison, and we'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe and see more comparisons, as well as check out our signature full review videos. Take care and stay safe.